Good morning to all. Yes, so today we are going to finally start with getting started with Python. So in the previous two chapters, only one topic is left, that is blockchain, which we will be taking up sometime later. Okay. So we will be taking that sometime later. Today we are going to start with Python, okay, the very first chapter of Python. And from now onwards, you have to pay close attention to whatever you are studying. So far, you might not have taken the chapters seriously. If that is okay with the first two chapters, because they are because they are theory chapters, and so that doesn't matter much. But when it comes to Python, students, this becomes very important, because Python is something you have to carry on till next year. So we are going to start with what is Python. So the first chapter, we are not going to start with programming right away, because before jumping to programming, it is very important for us to understand what are the prerequisites of Python, what are the fundamentals or what are the basics of Python. Python is a programming language, and just like before you actually start using the language, you should know about its fundamental details, right? So, this chapter is going to be an introduction to Python, its pros and cons, okay, why it is needed, what are its advantages over other languages, and what type of application development can be done using Python. So these basic things we are going to cover in this chapter, and slowly we will move towards the basics, the fundamentals of the Python language. That is, we will start learning the building blocks of the language. Okay, so you have to be a bit patient when it comes to Python programming, because your actual practical will start only after a few more classes, right? First, we are going to begin with the basics, the prerequisites of Python. So, what is Python? It is a general purpose, high level language. As you what is a high level language? A language which is somewhat close to the common English language, which everybody can understand. Okay. So, using some of the common words and vocabulary of English language, some languages have been created like C, C++, Java, Fortran, COBOL, okay, Python, Ruby, Perl, and these languages, they are quite user friendly, because they help us in focusing mainly on the actual logic of a program. Okay, and it is a general purpose language, which means you can use this language for performing any type of activity, that is for creating any type of application development, whether it's a standalone desktop application, or whether it's a web application, whether it's a portal, website, or any other type of application which you want to create in Python. Can be extended and embedded. Python language can be extended, that is, some extra functionality can be added, and it can be embedded, that is, some Python code can be embedded within some other code. Like you are creating a web page, and a web page, we normally know that HTML is used as the basic tool for creating the structure of a web page. Okay, so within that HTML code, we can embed Python code if we want to just put in some functionality, or we want something to happen which is only possible with a programming language. Included in applications as a tool for writing macros. Now, macros is what? It is a type of a, we can say, macros are recordings of certain steps, certain repeated steps. Okay, like for example, basically in uh, softwares like Word, Excel, PowerPoint and all. Suppose you want to record the steps for performing a certain action. Like in Excel, there is a cell, and within that cell, you want to uh, format the data of the cell to date format, right? So for this purpose, now you have to do it, repeat this thing for a number of cells. So instead of doing that, what you can do is you can record the steps one by one, and this recording of steps is done with the help of macro. Now, these softwares, no doubt, they have the functionality for recording the macros and auto-generating the code in the background. But uh, expert users can also write their own code. That is, big applications have certain features of embedding, like you are using a software, right? But as a user of the software, it's not necessary that every time you will only be using the software. Sometimes you can also customize some features of that software using some scripting language, and Python provides that help to you. Like, see, MS Excel, MS Word, these are what? Software, right? And what we are doing, we are just using the software. But if you want to add some, you want to customize some features of it, you want to customize certain things by writing your own code, you can do that using a scripting language. Okay. Choice for many programming problems, both small and large. Not so good for a couple of computing tasks. So there are certain plus points as well as some minus points of Python as well. Some good uses of Python, what are they? Ideal for projects that require quick development. If you don't want to waste too much of time in development, and Python comes with a huge library, an extensive library consisting of many built-in functions which you can use without having to write your own code for doing that work. So any application development in Python is far quicker than that in languages like C, C++, and Java. Supports multiple programming philosophies. See, there are different ways in which programs are written. Some programs are written in a structured way. Some programs are written in a sequential manner. Some programs are written in an object-oriented fashion. So this way, Python supports many different types of programming philosophies, and any programmer who is comfortable with one type of philosophy, he can use that. Good for programs that require flexibility. The many packages and modules already written for Python provide versatility and save you time. This point is very, very important. This point, that is, many packages and modules, they are written for Python, which we can use for quick application development and also save time. Who is the creator of Python? So he is the creator, Guido van Rossum. In the late 1980s, Guido liked features of several programming languages, but none of them had all the features he wanted. So he wanted a programming language to contain the following features. It should be a scripting language. Scripting language, we will see in a short while what they are. Indentation for statement grouping, that is very important. Before Python, normally programming languages didn't have any feature for indentation. Indentation means just shifting the code a little bit in order to make it readable. You will understand very soon what is indentation, that is giving different amounts of spaces to represent different blocks of code. But before indentation, the thing was in programming languages like C, C++, and Java, we only used to have a kind of a closing brace and opening brace. Okay, let's see what. I'll just show you one example of a program, a very small program in C++, so you will understand that. So if I want to write a program in C++, I normally start it with int main, and this is the delimiter which I use for writing the code. That is, anything I want to write, I have to write within these two braces, curly braces. Okay. Then I will declare the variables over here. Then I'll write a equals, sorry, I won't, I'm actually confusing Python with C++. So I normally write statement like this: enter two values, and then I write C equals A plus B. Okay. And if I have to check if C is greater than 10, then uh, I write, I will again open the curly braces. Okay. I will write some lines of code over here, right? Then I'll write else, and then again I'll open curly braces, and then I'll again write some text over here. So you can see something that the code is not that readable, because we can already see there are some different blocks of code. Like this is an external block, and within that block you have this block and you have this block, but the demarcation between these blocks is not very clear. Rather, if we had provided it this way, that is this inner block, I would have just provided some indentation, that is some spacing in between the lines like this, then it would have been a bit more readable. But this is not the case with Python. In Python, a program proceeds in this way. I enter some value over here, so I will just, for the time being, give some value, C equals A plus B. And if I have to do some operation on C, if it is greater than 10, then I will provide some gap, that is indentation, to my action, whatever I want to do, and then else again provide some indentation and then do the work. So here it becomes a bit more readable, because you are able to understand that this is one program block, okay, this is the other program block, and this is the entire program. So here these braces, curly braces or brackets are not used. Instead, what is used is indentation. Indentation is used as a means of specifying program blocks, and that was what Guido van Rossum wanted. Okay. High level data types, extensibility, interpreted language. So he wanted these features in a programming language which he wanted to develop. Okay. So then came the idea of creating a scripting language. Usually a script is a program that controls other programs. So scripting languages are good for multiple things. They are good for quick development and prototyping. Good at, now prototyping means if you want to create a kind of a prototype or a blueprint for something. Okay, you want to create a blueprint for performing some task. You want to create a template, so it is good for doing that. Good at passing messages from one component to another, handling fiddly stuff like memory management. Python has grown beyond scripting languages, which are used mostly for small applications. Now, scripting languages are those languages which are very flexible, which can be embedded with other programming languages, which can be used within some other type of code. Okay, and they are very quick to be developed, and mostly these scripting languages are all interpreted languages. That is, they use interpreter in the background, and most of the execution, most of this interpretation work is done during the execution of the scripting language code. The Python community prefers to call Python a dynamic programming language. It was named after the BBC comedy series Monty Python's Flying Circus, as Guido van Rossum was a big fan of Monty Python. Okay, so using that name, he just gave the name Python to this programming language, and he created this language while he was on a vacation, on Christmas vacation. So Python is an object oriented language, that is everything is it takes the form of a real world object. Anything which you see around you, okay, like for example, if I consider this phone which you are seeing over here, right? So this phone is what, it has some characteristics, it has some properties, and it has some functions. For characteristics, you can see it has a screen, okay, and there is a camera at the background, there is a fingerprint sensor at the background, there are cameras in front, there is an LED light in front, that is the torch, and its functions are, we can place calls with this, we can receive calls, we can send messages, we can take pictures, we can watch movies. So these are, so every thing which you see around you, even a small chalk and duster or even a small pen which you see, everything has its own properties and some functions. Okay, so everything is perceived as an object. Unfortunately, the Python which you are going to study in 11th and 12th, you are not going to study the object oriented part of Python. In previous years, when Python was just introduced, at that time object oriented Python was there in the syllabus, but right now it has totally been eliminated. So you people are going to essentially only concentrate on the sequential programming, the structural programming of Python. So the code is designed to be reusable and maintainable. Any code created in Python can be easily reused later on. Python code is one third to one fifth the size equivalent to a C++ or Java code. So you can see that Python code is contains much less lines of code, and it that is the reason why it is very easy to develop. Means there are a lot of extra lines of code which you need to write in a C++ or a Java program, which you don't need to write in Python. Python code can run on different platforms like Windows, Linux, Mac OS, okay, without any change. Python comes with a large collection of pre-built programs known as standard library. So it comes with a huge library of various packages, and each of these packages contain a number of modules, and each module contains a number of different predefined functions. So I hope why we need Python, that is clear to all of you. We are moving on. Indentation for statement grouping. As you can see in the small image over here. Block 1, block 2, block 3, then block 2 continuation, block 1 continuation. So this is how Python programs are indented. It enables the programmer to understand, to identify the different parts or groups of statements within a Python program. So Python specifies that several statements are part of a single group by indenting them. The indented group is called a code block. Indentation is considered good practice in other languages also, but Python was one of the first to enforce indentation. See, indentation was something which was optional in other programming languages. In C++, you create a program without indentation, you write the entire program on the same line. It will still execute. Okay, but as a part of a good programming practice, or we can say a tradition which we follow, that is the reason why indentation could be provided in the other languages, but it is not mandatory anywhere. But in Python, indentation has been made compulsory, that is mandatory. आपको करना ही करना है. So what is going to happen? Your program, because it is compulsory, you will ultimately provide indentation, and this will make your program very much readable. Indentation makes code easier to read. Code blocks set off with indentation have fewer begin and end words and punctuation to accidentally leave out, which means fewer bugs. In a C++ program like this, if it is like nested loop or nested if statement has been used, wherein if a block has been used within another if block, if we accidentally miss out on any of these brackets, I have not provided any indentation in the program and too many brackets are there. अब किस ब्रैकेट को कहाँ स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं किसको कहाँ एंड कर रहे हैं आई ओनली गॉट कंफ्यूज्ड ओके सो दैट क्रिएट्स अ लॉट ऑफ कंफ्यूजन whereas in case of python program you don't have a problem with brackets and because already you are providing indentation so that makes it very easy to understand where a block begins and where it ends. So fewer bugs, that is less number of mistakes, less number of syntactical errors you will make. So let's see how indentation looks like. So this is a sample program for class 12. It's a program for selection sort which you will study next year. So you can see that this is the first level. Okay, then this is a loop. Another program block starts. Anything within that loop starts with one level of indentation. Then within that statement, two levels of indentation, three levels of indentation. So it is quite understandable that this line is a part of this inner if statement. This whole thing is a part of this inner for loop. This whole thing is a part of the outer for loop. Okay. And this last line is not a part of this for loop. It is an independent statement. So it is quite readable over here, right? And because these extra braces, curly brackets and all are not there, so your number of lines of code is also less and your program looks much cleaner and neat as compared to other language programs. High level data types. We will be studying data types when we start with the next chapter in Python, that is Python fundamentals. Okay, so just a small introduction I'm giving here. These are the various data types which you will study in Python. Python string, and these data types are like you won't find so many different categories of data types in other programming languages. Okay, you won't find dictionary as a separate data type or set as a separate data type or list or tuple in any programming language, right? You will find the basic ones: integer, float, string. That is, string is also not there in C++. You have character, right? But Python provides you with a wide variety of different data types so that you have to work less. Okay, you don't have to write extra lines of code to create that data type. Python strings are so flexible that they can be searched, sliced, joined, split, set to upper or lower case, or have white space removed. इतने functions मिलेंगे आपको. There are so many built-in functions that all those tasks, you know, when I had started with C++. So in our when I was doing my graduation and post graduation, we had started with C++. We didn't have Python at that time. So because C++ is a language where it is still considered as the base for developing your logic, right? So most of the things which are already available in Python, we had created them. Like this complex, you are getting a separate data type as complex number. But we didn't get a separate data type. We had to create that using structures and classes. हम अलग से एक data type बनाते थे, अपने खुद के data types बना के use करते थे, right? So you are getting that advantage. You don't have to create a new data type of complex number. You are already getting that data type built into Python, right? So these are some of the things which you will find. Like when I migrated from C++ to Python, Python was way too easy for me. And there are so many different functions which are available in Python. Most of those functions we used to apply, we used to create on our own. Matlab, the thing is, if you have a function, here you have a function for removing the white space. But we used to actually jump into the string, extract each character and find out the spaces and remove them, right? So this is the difference. When we come from some other programming languages to Python, Python becomes a piece of cake. Okay. So because you people are directly starting from Python, so you don't have to worry about these things. You are just, this is just to tell you that how Python is different from other programming languages. High-level data types in Python, such as lists and dictionaries, which can store other data types, encompass much more functionality than in other languages. So we never heard about any data type like list or tuple or dictionary in any other language, but Python has that. Got it? Extensibility. These languages are very powerful because additions make them suitable for multiple applications and operating systems. You can extend the possibilities, you can extend the features of Python to create many different types of applications, and also you can create operating systems using this. Extensions can add data types or concepts, modules, and plugins. Python is extensible in several ways. A core group of programmers works on modifying and improving the language, while hundreds of other programmers write modules for specific purposes. In today's date, you won't be able to fathom how many different modules are there on the internet. Okay, आपको कोई भी काम करना है, you want to read, you want to handle Microsoft Word documents using your Python program, you have a module for that. You want to generate Excel files using Python program, you have modules for that. And these modules are created by programmers worldwide, right? You have a different module for handling CSV files. You have a different module for displaying data in a tabular format. And there are so many different modules that it is impossible to keep a count on them, right? What you need to do is just according to your needs and requirements, you search for a specific module, you get its documentation, you read it and use that function in your. It is an interpreted language. We already know what is an interpreted language. Can anyone tell me? What do you understand by an interpreted language?
May
Yes.
No, interpreted language is a language which uses an interpreter for its conversion of source code language into the executable form. Then and the interpreter it converts the source code from line by line or unit by unit. It takes the first code, then it executes it, and then it focuses on the other line.
Yes, so first it takes one line of code, it checks it for errors. If there are errors, it will stop the execution at that same time. It will first prompt the programmer to remove the error. You remove the error, it converts that into machine executable code and executes it. And then again, it will start the same process for the second statement. So this way, interpreted languages don't generate any object code in between, right? So interpreted languages run directly from source code that humans generate. Interpreted languages run more slowly because the translation takes place on the fly. But development and debugging is faster. Debugging means removal of errors is faster because you don't have to wait for the compiler. Okay. So you don't have to wait for the entire program to be error free. You can check for errors for only the particular code which you are executing right now. Interpreted languages are easier to run on multiple operating systems because they come with a runtime environment, a virtual running environment. Okay, and that virtual running environment can be created across different platforms. In case of Python, it's easy to write code that works on multiple operating systems with no need to make modifications. If I create any Python program on a window-based system and I take it to an Ubuntu-based system and run it there, it will run without any problems. Trivia. People argue over whether Python is an interpreted or compiled language. Although Python works like an interpreted language in many ways, its code is compiled before execution. That is, Python makes use of both compiler as well as interpreter, but mostly it makes use of an interpreter. Many of its capabilities run at full machine speed because they are written in C language, leaving you free to focus on making your application work. Python has been created using the C language. So you can just imagine how powerful C language is. Okay, even in colleges these days, they teach C++ to the students because that is the best language for developing your logic, right? So because most of the work has already been done in C, so you can focus on developing your application. Guido began writing Python during his Christmas vacation in 1989, and over the next year he added to the program based on feedback from colleagues. He released it to the public in February 1991 by posting to the Usenet system of news groups. Fast development. Python is interpreted, so writing working programs and fixing mistakes in programs is very fast. Programs written in interpreted languages can be tested as soon as they are written without waiting for the code to compile. So you write a program, you run it. Okay. So you don't have to wait for the program to be built or compiled and many internal steps to take place. Like I find it very difficult when I work with Visual C Sharp because it is a compiled language. Okay. I have the problem might be lying in a code which I don't want to execute right now. I'm just working on a particular part of the program, but until and unless I remove that code, my program won't work. But Python is not like that. In Python, suppose I had created a function and there is some error in the function, but that is not important right now. I don't want to run that function. I can still run the rest of the program. Python takes care of such fiddly details as memory management behind the scenes. Python has debugging features built in. There is a very powerful debugging tool in Python known as PDB, and using that you can actually step into the code and you can check what is the error which you are getting. All these features make Python a good language for off-the-cuff quick programming, prototyping, that is sketching the design basics of complex programs, or testing particular solutions. Applications that change, build on themselves, and add new features frequently. Programming styles. It's a multi-paradigm language. That is, in any way you want to write a program in a sequential manner, you can do that. You can write a program in object-oriented fashion, you can do that. Okay. Supports more than one style of programming. Such was not the case with C language. C is a completely sequential language, but then to add object-oriented features, they introduced C++. Okay, so there are like programming languages which are not very flexible, which follow only one type of paradigm, but Python follows more than one styles of programming. Flexible approach. Object-oriented code is broken into individual units that pass messages back and forth. Students, one very important feature of object-oriented code is that you actually create certain modules like this. Okay, and each module can send or receive messages. And it's very easy to develop any code, any program here, because what you need is like you want to make changes over here. So you will not disturb these two. Okay. So these two can continue to do their work while you are updating, right? But this is not the case with sequential programming. In sequential programming, entire program is taken as one whole sequence of statements. Any changes to be made, you have to make change in the entire program. So that becomes quite cumbersome and time consuming. Whereas here, there is no wastage of time. I can only choose to change or alter only a small part of the program, not the rest. Python has features in common with the following languages. Java, an object-oriented language. Now, Java is completely object-oriented. Java doesn't allow sequential programming. It completely follows object-oriented programming. Okay. So, if you want to write sequential programming, you cannot use Java, but its object-oriented part is very much developed. Okay. So, an object-oriented language, especially for applications used over networks. So Python also has this feature. Then Perl is another language which is a procedural language, that is a sequential programming language used for text manipulation, system administration, web development and network programming. So all these things can be done in Python also. And lastly TCL, which is used for rapid prototyping, scripting, GUIs, that is graphical user interface, and testing purpose. So Python has features of this also. Versatility, Python is versatile. Multiple, it is supported across multiple operating systems and user interfaces. You can write and run programs on Windows, Mac, and Unix, including Linux. And there are so many different IDEs which are available for writing Python program and running them. Okay. Python programmers have also written code for other operating systems from cell phones to supercomputers. So you can just understand that what what are the possibilities in Python? Means it is not that only one type of programming which you learn in Python, but if you dig deeper into it, you can create programs for a simple mobile phone to a large supercomputer as well. All depends upon how much time you are investing into it. But don't worry about so many things. We won't be having anything like designing code for supercomputers in this syllabus. This is just the beginning of the journey, students. Okay. Special kinds of data such as images and sound. There are so many different modules and packages available which enable you to work with multimedia. Python comes with dozens of built-in modules. Modules तो इतने हैं आप खुद ही कंफ्यूज हो जाओगे कि क्या यूज करना है. Okay, there are so many different modules. So actually you don't need to study all the modules, students. Never follow this approach that I want to learn all the modules. You can never learn them. You can use the modules only when you need that kind of functionality in the software which you are creating. You need this like for example, you think I want to have a text to speech kind of a feature in my software. That is, if it is like my software will not only be used by people who can see and touch and that is see and speak or use their hands, but it can also be used by visually impaired people. They can, if they cannot type and enter commands or type and give commands or data, they can speak it and do it. So for that I would be needing a speech to text converting to be done. So that for that also there are built-in modules which you can use in your Python. So as and when you need a particular feature, you can just search for that kind of module and use it within your Python. हर चीज लर्न करने की जरूरत नहीं है. You just need to study the basics. Okay, basics पढ़ लो and then whichever module, once you know, all you should know is how to search for something, how to incorporate, how to use modules in your Python program. बस इतना जानना है आपको. Rest, there are so many thousands of modules which are created by programmers worldwide. You can just search for it, the required module which you want to use, and you can use it in your Python program. Right? Companies that use Python. The main portal to Python and the Python community is www.python.org. All resources as well as any type of documentation you want, you will get on this site. Let me show it to you. Okay, we are almost, the time is almost up. So I will be continuing this part in the next class, right? So I hope the introduction was clear to everyone today about Python.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, Mohit, your doubts will be clearing at 11. Okay, so like every time we do it, any question you want to ask, anybody who wants to ask any question, kindly join the class again at 11 o'clock. Okay, so I'm moving on to my next class, students. We will be continuing this tomorrow. So thank you all.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you. Please join at 11 for your doubts. Okay.